So hello, everyone. Welcome to our first event in our summer welcome series, and I want to officially welcome you all to the MUD community. My name is Erin McNabb, and I am the Associate Director in the Office of Alumni and Parent Relations and proud member of the class of 2006. So we thank you for attending today's event, and we hope you and your family are safe and healthy during this time. This talk is being recorded and will be available on the parents' website as soon as we can upload. So please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box, not into the chat, and we will try to get through as many questions as we can after the brief presentation. So just a heads up, because there are more events in our summer welcome series, specifically about academics and student health and wellness. If you submit a question that I think will be better answered in a different session, I'll save it and pass it along for future panelists. I'm not ignoring your questions. I just want to save them till they can be properly addressed. So to now briefly introduce our session, this event is focusing on our Division of Student Affairs, referred to as DSA a lot. This department covers so many aspects of the student experience at MUD and does the most work to support your students. I will hand it over to our panelists, Marco, Karen, and Yvette, to introduce themselves and their office. So take it away, Marco.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the MUD family. We're excited to have you here today. My name is Marco Valenzuela, and I'm the Interim Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. And I will go ahead and pass it on to Dean Karen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the Interim Associate Dean of Students and Director of Housing and Residential Life. It's a new title, so I'm still getting used to it, but I'll hand it over to Dean Yvette.
Hello all, my name is Yvette Gonzalez. I'm the Assistant Dean for Campus Life.
All right, thank you. So we do have a brief presentation that introduces the Division of Student Affairs, and then we will go into detail regarding housing and move-in, orientation, campus life. And if you have any further questions, Erin will kind of let us know what kind of questions come in, and we'll go from there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so again, welcome. And the first thing I would like to talk about is our mission. So our mission is basically, just to summarize it and not read it, is basically we support your students outside of the classroom. There's a lot of experiential learning that takes place. We do have a lot of fun events and help develop communities within our students. But it's not just about fun. We make kind of learning fun at the same time. We do provide leadership and developmental opportunities for our students, as well as skills that they will take on like beyond MUD, that will help them while at MUD with their academics, with socializing with folks, and with meeting new people, with living with different folks, as well as skills that they'll take them to beyond when they start their careers as well. So our vision is providing transformative student learning experiences. Again, a lot of our activities and our events do involve kind of supporting your students, whether it's through their academics or meeting others, if there's roommate conflicts, if they're homesick. It varies from different situations. Anything that your students need in regards to being supported, we definitely have someone to talk for them to help them out and succeed at MUD. For our four foci are wellness and development of the whole self, inclusive communities, experiential learning and life skills, and leadership development. We can't stress enough that our activities are very experiential learning based, that we do want our students to learn a lot about themselves, their development, and also like how to utilize those skills in the classroom as well as outside the classroom. Our main goal is really to make sure that your students are successful here at MUD, both in and outside of the classroom. So these are the different offices that are under the Division of Student Affairs. So we do have the Office of Health and Wellness, the Office of Housing and Residential Life, Campus Life, Career Services, Community Engagement, Academic Resources and Success, and the Office of Institutional Diversity. These different offices will provide support for your students in every aspect that we can think possible. And so today we'll be hearing from the Office of Housing and Residential Life and Campus Life as well. And this is our organizational chart. These are the beautiful faces of the folks who will be supporting your students. And so if you have any questions, any of these folks on our staff will be able to support your students throughout their journey here at MUD. And this is the Stay Safe at Mud website. So we have yet to update that. We're awaiting guidelines from the LA Department of Public Health. And so once we do receive the new guidelines, we will make sure to update this website so that your students and yourselves know exactly what we expect from our students upon arrival. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Dean Yvette to talk about new student orientation.
Sure, thank you. So Campus Life is a really fun office. We get to do a lot about involvement on campus. So if your student has questions about clubs, organizations, student government, getting involved, that is us. We also are happy to bring you orientation. And so we have been communicating with your students all summer through email and through newsletters. As you probably know, right now they're doing their summer sessions. And so a new group of sessions is actually being released on Monday. So we started that in early July. Every 2 weeks, they get 3 new sessions to go over. The ones they have coming up this upcoming Monday are academic resources and support, intro to academics, which helps set them up for registration, which is August 17th and 18th, and information about study abroad, which we won't have study abroad this upcoming fall. Obviously, this doesn't impact your incoming students, but we do plan to have it in the coming semesters. So that is kind of what's going on right now with orientation. If you ever have questions about orientation or your student, our email address is orientationadventures@g.hmc.edu, and we have quite a few folks responding, so we can always answer your questions there. The in-person orientation schedule has been published as of about a little over a week ago, I think, on the orientation website. So you just have to go to HMC orientation, and on the left side panel are quite a few different options for you. One of them is the schedule. So I'm going to quickly go over that just in case folks haven't had a chance to look at it. So it begins on Friday, August 27th. That is when we are asking that you and your student arrive on campus for move-in. You will have from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. to move in. We will have more information about that. And Dean Karen will go into some more details about move-in as well. But you will know where your students are living and where is the best place to park. There will be a bunch of folks available to help you. We'll have students that we call the moving committee in hats. Every year they choose a specific hat with different types of dollies and things like that, carts to be able to help you move your belongings. And then since we will be having 2 classes this time, we'll have both first years and second years on our campus for the first time. We're welcoming both classes. We'll have sessions kind of happening at different times to be able to accommodate that. So we will then go into either lunch or right into the roster signing ceremony, depending on what class your students are in, which is also the official welcome to orientation. This is where students learn more about the honor code that they are agreeing to, where they meet the president as well as student leaders, and where they sign the official honor code, creating them as matriculated students or entering students. Prior to that, for first years, they're called pre-first years. And at the moment of signing is when they become MUD students. Then we go into class photos for each class. I know that parents have their own schedule, and Erin has more information about that for you all. And then the portion of the day that ends our time with families ends at 5:30 after a reception with President Clave. And then students go on to connect with their mentor groups by having dinner. And after that, talking about kind of legends of MUD, and then meeting with their residence hall teams, getting to know more about their residence halls and kind of how community works on campus that evening. The next day, we have some educational sessions for students that we wanted to make sure we did in person. And then that evening, we get to participate in the McGregor ribbon cutting ceremony, which is really exciting that we're invited to that. So that's a big celebration for our new building at the far end of campus, if you've been at all. And then Sunday actually are some more sessions, help with your student getting their computer and internet all set up. And then we have kind of a fun afternoon of activities for them to bond with their fellow students and the student mentors. And we end with a talent show, which is kind of a tradition of MUD before getting them ready for their classes the next day. Returning students do move in on that Sunday. And so the students do get a few days on campus with just us. All DSA staff will be present at orientation, and we have mentors, and we also have mentors for the sophomore class as well. So happy to answer questions about that, but also I'll just turn it over to Dean Karen.
Thank you, Yvette. I think, Erin, did you want to touch a little bit on the parent orientation?
Yeah, sure. Just as a side note to student orientation, there is a family orientation as well. But we are encouraging you to only be on campus that one day that your student is moving into their room. So either August 26th for International and Summer Institute students or August 27th for other first years and transfers. We've moved all the important information-based programming to this summer welcome series of virtual events. So the on-campus programming is fairly informal. We understand that you might be doing final errands to move your student in, and they will have their own programming, as Dean Yvette talked about. So you should only plan on coming to campus that one singular day. And then at the end of the day at the family farewell, that's when we ask that you move on and let your student continue with their orientation programming. This is for safety. This is to limit the number of bodies on campus at one time. So we've seen some questions in the family Facebook group about this. And so it's just the one day that we encourage you to be on campus.
Awesome, thank you. So for the residential life experience, we'll be talking about assignments and movement information, proctors and mentors, the first year experience, emergencies, and on-call deans. For the assignments, students did receive their assignment yesterday. Our one form of communication with students is via email. So if they're not checking their email, they're not up to date with the information we're sending them. So please have your students check their emails constantly for any updates on our behalf. So yeah, assignments were sent yesterday. All 235 incoming students were assigned a room. If they didn't receive an email, please feel free to send us an email at restlife@hmc.edu, and we'll make sure to send the correct information. In terms of move-in information, so students are to check in at the LAC, like Dean Yvette mentioned, so the Lind Activity Center. We'll make sure to share more information in a couple of weeks in terms of where to park based on where your room assignment is. It's just easier to park near the building where you'll be assigned to. Again, if your student didn't receive an assignment, please have them send us an email. It could have been, we did use mail merge, so it could have been an error that didn't receive it, but all students have been assigned a room. We'll make sure to share that information with them. Our proctors and mentors are students who are part of the Rest Life team. Our mentors are returning students, so it's sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are living with some of these students. They'll interact with them throughout orientation. Essentially, it's welcoming them to campus, but also helping them transition into their first year at MUD. So if they have any questions about resources, any questions about where to go to get checked up about a temperature, they'll ask a mentor, where is student health services, all those questions that students may have the first year, mentors can help them with. Mentors also help with any programming at the residence halls. So we're talking about community engagement, we're talking about wellness programming, overall just how to helping them interact with others and creating community. Our proctors this year are seniors and juniors who are our first line of defense. They essentially are what we know as RAs on other campuses, or residential advisors. They serve on call, and they're also there to help the community. The proctors are really students who know their community the best, and can help them answer any questions that maybe the mentors can't answer, or are there for support. If a student is having, going through a stressful time, proctors can help, mentors can help. Anytime, for example, there's a student who falls off from the skateboard and needs help, they'll call the proctor on call, and so forth. So really, student throughout the first year, and other students as well. First year experience program is a program that helps first year students transition to MUD. So it's a series of workshops that helps them with, for example, career services. We'll do a presentation for the first year experience, and essentially is helping students prepare for the first career fair. We have academic services, do a workshop on imposter syndrome and how to schedule their classes and make sure that they're not stressing out about academics. We'll also have our Office of Institutional Diversity do a workshop for them and talk about identity. So it's a series of workshops, including wellness as well, that helps them better acclimate to MUD. So for emergencies and on-call deans, we do have 7 on-call staff members on campus, 6 of them being at the actual MUD campus. And we do rent out our Aero Vista apartments, which is less than a mile away. We also have a staff member there that serves on-call. So the purpose for having on-call deans is if there's ever any emergency on campus, like I mentioned, the proctors are our first line of defense, but then after that, it's the on-call staff member. So anything that the proctors need help with, will be there to help them with. We also have campus safety that will help us as well. So we do have various resources that the students can refer to if they ever need anything. Emergencies can be anything from a broken bone, a student going through a mental health crisis, a student who may be sick and needs to be connected to either urgent care or our student health services. I think anything you can think of, we tend to get a call about. And so, yeah, I think that's all I have for this one.
Karen, real quick, a couple of people are commenting that they did not receive their room assignments. So can you put your ResLife email in the chat for people to contact you?
Absolutely. I would also ask that the students check spam as well. We did confirm that we sent it to all 235 students. So again, it could have been an error on our end, but we have assigned all students. So your student does have an assignment. We'll notify them when they email us. So yeah, please have your student email ResLife.
Yeah, that's a good note, Karen, because several, like our Marketing Cloud emails sometimes go to spam. Sometimes they just get labeled as like outside email. So check a couple of places to make sure your student received that email from the Division of Student Affairs. But if you cannot find it, yes, feel free to email ResLife about it.
Awesome, thank you. And then I think if Dina, you already talked about this, right? Or do you want to elaborate on anything?
Yeah, sure. I'll just share a little bit more. So these are some of the things that Campus Life works with on campus. And so one of our endeavors that we've had over the past few years is the Impact Leadership Program. So this is a co-curricular program, meaning that it's separate from academics. It's not a course. It's actually a certificate program that students can participate in. And we have had students begin this their first year, although it is offered every single year. So it's a weekly leadership development opportunity. Students can either drop in to the topics that interest them, or there's kind of 8 in a series. So there are 3 modules of 8, adding up to 24 total weeks. And students can complete an entire module, a set of 8 sessions, and then receive a certificate for that. And so we've had students complete the entire program in 1 year or space it out over a few. It's been really awesome to see folks get involved with that. We do also, the students that kind of complete the different modules do get perks associated, such as special meetings with trustees and the president, as well as leaders of the campus, and continuing leadership development opportunities. So it's a great program that I recommend to your students. We'll be sending out more information about that. Also, all students are part of the student government based on their student fees. They do get voting rights, and they'll hear more about that when they get to campus. They should have just completed their orientation session on the student government. We also have clubs and organizations, which they will be able to participate in this year. I know there's been some questions. So they will be able to participate in clubs both on campus and through the rest of the Claremont colleges. And then we oversee different types of events. And we're currently, as Vice President Marco mentioned, awaiting final regulations from the county about how those are going to look. But we do currently plan to have outdoor events based on regulations that were given, hoping to have the campus be as welcoming as possible.
Thank you, Dean Yvette. And that's all from us. And I think I'll go ahead and stop sharing and then Aaron, if you want to ask us any questions that are coming up, feel free.
Sure. Our first one that came in, do dorm closets have doors and or mirrors?
They don't, only the restroom does. So if your student would like a mirror in their room, suggest getting one that goes over the door or can lean against the wall.
And then the closets, do some have doors or do none of them have doors?
That's a great question. It's been a while since I've been in any of the rooms.
In all of the rooms, I think you mean.
Yes. So I can definitely, if they email Rest Life, I'll check in on that and let them know.
I think it's pretty safe to assume there's probably not a door. As far as I last saw, most dorm room closets do not have doors.
I think most do not, right?
Right. So we got a question about, can students open bank accounts during orientation week? Or do they have some other day?
They can.
Sorry, go. Yeah.
Yes, there is banking information through the orientation website. We don't have a banking fair, and we are limiting the amount of folks that we invite onto campus, especially in the early part of the semester. So there is quite a bit of free time that first day, but also the first week as well. There will be opportunities to leave campus. And so we do have quite a few banks in the area, most of which are walking distance, but the student will have the opportunity to do that their first week.
Great. And someone asked about the mid-year or holiday break. Do people lose their room assignments, or do they keep it the same and just have to move out for a month? So why don't you clarify like what winter break entails?
Yeah, so at the end of the fall semester, students do have to vacate their rooms, but they don't have to take their belongings with them. Just the necessities do need to go with them, but they do get to keep their room assignment and get to come back to that same room that they were in the fall semester. I would also suggest never mind, there's no, there might not be any study abroad. So, but if they were to study abroad, they would have to take their items, but otherwise no.
Right. As a previous proctor, I remember knocking on doors at 8 a.m. for winter break to evacuate all people off of campus, because it is a hard shutdown of campus for that winter break, but you can leave all your stuff there. You don't have to pack it up and store it. So, also summer break. Do you have storage, or do we have to completely vacate?
So we don't have storage for students over the summer. So what students do is they usually come together and rent out a storage pod. And there's sometimes, there are times where ASHMIC our government student body does reimburse students for a portion of the payment. So it is possible that they can get help through ASHMEG, but for the most part, they just get together, get a storage pod, and store their items together.
Great. We have a question about explaining a little bit more about mentors and how students connect with the right ones.
Yeah, so mentors are actually assigned to students based on where they're living. And each building will have 3 to 4, and Drinkward and other bigger residence halls have 5 or 6 mentors. So they're assigned to a team of around, again, depending on the building, about 6 to 10 frosh, and they connect with them in that way. So usually they'll do weekly check-ins or bi-weekly check-ins, whatever works best for the team. I think also too, social media and messaging helps a lot in that sense. They'll do programming for them, so that's another great way for them to interact. Yeah, so they'll have a mentor assigned based on where they're living. Right now, the frosh are interacting with various mentors, not necessarily assigned to their specific building. So they also get to interact with others. So it may be that you make a great connection. They make a great connection with like a mentor from South, but they're living in Drinkward, and they can still maintain that connection, but they'll have a Drinkward mentor.
And to add on to that, since assignments have just been released, now the second part is matching to mentors. And so that should come out in the next 2 weeks. And the mentor will actually write your student directly, introducing themselves. So that should be coming soon.
Great. Marco, maybe you can talk a little bit about what kind of COVID testing requirements are in place to prevent an outbreak from hundreds exposed to airports arriving on campus at the same time.
Sure. So as of now, I believe folks who are coming from outside of the US need to test 3 days before arriving. We may update that to include everyone. At this point, we haven't done so. We're waiting for guidelines from the Department of Public Health. But if any of those change, we will make sure to notify folks as soon as possible. But in regards to testing, if folks are exempt from the vaccine, they are required to get tested twice a week. And if folks get symptoms or start feeling sick, they are also recommended to get tested as soon as those happen or if they get worse. And if that's the case, they would make sure to notify the Division of Student Affairs, and then we would make sure to contact your student, make sure that they get tested. Should they need support, we'll make sure to work with them with their classes, as well as providing meals for them should they be sick at any point.
Great, thank you. Someone asked about mailbox numbers. Karen, do you know if those went out with the room assignments?
Unfortunately, they didn't. So the individual that does assign the mailbox numbers, unfortunately, is out for a couple more weeks. But that's okay because students can still mail in their items without a mailbox number. We're a small enough school that you don't necessarily need your mailbox number to start mailing your items. So yeah, so you can start mailing them now. Again, so what I'm going to do in terms of room assignments is just that information is in the email. So I'm just going to send them out again. And then you'll receive them this time around. Hopefully, we'll also update our simplicity with your room assignments. So you'll be able to check there. So if you don't see it by tomorrow, end of day, go ahead and email ResLife on Monday, letting us know that you have not received it. If you haven't received any emails whatsoever from ResLife or Orientation Adventures, also let us know, because it could be that there's an issue with your email overall. And so we can connect with CIS so that they can fix that. But
Karen, I had a question. Do you know if those are going to students' g.hmc email accounts or to their personal ones that they?
They're going to the hmc.edu email.
Okay.
Yeah, we're connecting with students via their school emails, not their personal ones. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Someone asked, are there photos online of dorm rooms? And in my quick search, I did not find any, but I did find our residence hall room size website. So I'm going to put that in the chat. that'll give you a good idea of the different dorms and their respective room sizes. Every dorm is super different. So it's really hard for us to give you an overall, like this dorm comes with this stuff. But yeah, hopefully that is a helpful resource. Do you have anything else to add about room, dorm, like visuals, Karen?
I believe admissions probably did a piece on this. And so it'd probably be a good idea to check out their newsletters. I believe they included some information in there. I don't remember when, but I think there is information about rooms in one of their newsletters.
Great. The guy question, are pets allowed to visit campus?
I believe they are allowed to visit. They're not allowed to visit at this point because of folks that allergies and whatnot. So as of now, do not have your pets visit campus. We'd love to see them because a lot of folks love pets, but as of now, we do not allow folks to kind of bring their pets onto campus.
Great. Are there any dogs anywhere on campus though, guys? There's some other dog opportunities for people who need a dog fix.
Yeah, some of our live-on staff do have pets. They do have dogs. And then also during the semester, the Office of Health and Wellness will have like a puppy day where folks who are interested in petting puppies or dogs can come and have their time with some of the dogs that we do have on campus.
Thanks, Caroline, for realizing how absolutely necessary that question was. It is very necessary. So I got this question on drop-off day after 8 to 11 when students storm before 4:30 to 5:30. Is there any parent programming or are parents encouraged to step out of campus? They're not encouraged to step off of campus. We do have something in order to give yourself like a little self-guided tour, scavenger hunt of campus. We just understand that you may be stepping off campus to go purchase stuff for your dorm rooms, potentially last minute things. But you are welcome to walk around campus. You are not being kicked off between 11 and 4:30. It is after 5:30 where we encouraging you to not return to campus. So we have a question, do students get fridges or microwaves in their suites? So this is also a little complicated, but Karen, can you kind of detail that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have buildings that have suites. So Drinkward, some Drinkward, all of Sontag, and some rooms in Atwood do come with the fridge and a kitchen. So they'll have cabinets, the range, but other rooms do not come with any a fridge, a mini fridge, or a microwave. So that's something that the students do have to share with the rest of their teammates or their suite mates, not teammates, the rest of roommates or suite mates to discuss on what to share. We will be sharing the floor plan next week. And the reason for that is because we do give students a week to let us know if they want to remain anonymous on the floor plan. And the reason for it is because it is shared with the entire student body. So for example, if a student just doesn't want other students to know where they live, they can remain anonymous. And so through that, you'll be able to see who you're sharing a restroom with, who's in your suite, and can then determine who's going to bring a fridge, who's going to bring a microwave, and so forth.
Great. Someone is asking about signups for move-in slots on the 27th. And I think this is just something that has been updated. So Karen, do you want to talk about move-in times? Or any of you, I don't need to keep assigning Karen.
Yeah, I can definitely talk about it. Initially, we were thinking about doing slots, but we realized it may get a little too complicated, and then individuals may have to change it. So instead of doing time slots, we're just going to let people check in anytime between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. And so you can come in at 8 if you wish to do so, or you can come at 10 if you wish to do so. You can even come in at 11:30, but at 10:30, but at 11, you do have to go into lunch. So it's going to be very limited in terms of how long you have to check in. So definitely encourage you to get here the earliest that you can.
And that's really the check-in portion, right? The getting the keys, the getting the information from you guys. They can continue to move stuff, right, into the afternoon. It is really that check-in process that needs to happen before 11 a.m.
Correct. There's times in the schedule that are built for them to go back to the room and settle if they wish to do so, or just hang out with others. So yeah, the check-in portion is more so going to the Lind Activity Center, picking up their items and their ID card for them to be able to move into the room.
Great. Dina, I think this question might be for you. Will students have time to buy books on move-in day? Is that maybe a portion of orientation? Do you guys go down to Huntley or anything?
We don't include it in the programming, but you're welcome to walk down there. They're currently open, so I'm assuming that they'll be open on that day as well. So it's just a quick little walking distance. It's right across from Trinquata, which is where we also have student health and various 7C resources. So they will be open, but we don't include that as part of the plan.
Great. How does a student know that their roommate may not be vaccinated or any project team member? Our daughter is vaccinated, but we'd like to ensure she rooms with another vaccinated student.
So as of now, we are not allowed to disclose vaccination status of our students. And so as of now, we just encourage folks to be safe and follow protocols. If a student is not vaccinated due to medical exemptions, they are required to get tested twice a week. So we are following that safety protocol with our students. Also, everybody needs to wear masks when indoors. That includes the residence halls and the classrooms. So we're trying to be as safe as possible and making sure that folks do wear masks indoors to prevent any spread should there be any need to for that. So yeah, so unfortunately we can't disclose that information, but we are doing our best to make sure that folks do wear masks indoors. Yeah.
Thank you. We've gotten a few questions about packages. So I am going to put the mailing address in the chat for packages. The number portion, if you don't have a mailbox number, don't worry about it. But people are asking, is there a limit to how many packages you send, or what kind of, are there any restrictions on mailing?
Yeah, sorry, Erin. There's no limit in terms of how many packages you can send, but I think keeping in mind that your student is going to be the one that has to deliver those packages into their room. We do have dollies, and they can use them to use that to move their items, but it can be a little difficult if they have too many boxes or items that they've sent. So yeah, there's no limit. They can send whatever it is they like. Just keep that in mind that you do have to move them during the check-in process or afterwards.
And our mailroom is small, so we don't encourage you to mail the giantest packages right away. But also remember, anything mailed then has to be stored. So if you don't want to store giant items, don't mail giant items. So there was a question about what time move-in is for international students. It is 8 to 11 on the 26th. So it's the same kind of move-in time, just the day before. And that I think is available online as well. And then there's a question about wearing masks in class / do we need to wear masks in the room while setting up? Would you guys like to address that?
So in classes, yes, you have to wear masks. In the residence halls, as guests, you do have to wear masks indoors. In terms of roommates, for example, if Dina Vet and I are roommates, we would have a conversation in terms of wearing masks in our rooms. Most of the times from the conversations we've had with students, they'd be comfortable with not wearing a mask because they're roommates. So it's a conversation that they would have to have together. And all students, faculty and staff are required to be vaccinated unless they have medical or religious exemptions. So I do want to make sure to reiterate that.
And if I can touch base on the agreements also, during the week that they move in, students are encouraged to talk about agreements, like essentially make agreements on what they are comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with, and they'll sign a contract between the roommates. And so that's also something that they can put in that contract. They can talk about whether they want to wear a face mask or not and how comfortable they feel doing that. So that can, we'll make sure to include that in our contract for students to be able to talk about during the move-in.
And real quick, I want to also add that we did send an email to folks that have not submitted their vaccine documentation earlier last week, and I believe again yesterday. Again, if you do not submit or email us to let us know that you're getting the vaccine, or if you're going to provide an exemption or request an exemption, if you don't notify us by August 2nd, we will have, you will be dropped from your classes. And so that will definitely put you in a pretty, not a great predicament. So we do encourage folks to email the Division of Student Affairs email that was in the email that we sent out. I can put the email in the chat as well. So even if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, but you are scheduled to do so, make sure to email us and let us know. But we did email quite a few folks who had not notified us, not too many, but we did email a few folks. So make sure to let us know. And if you already uploaded it and you received that email in error, let us know so that we know to make sure that we do not drop you from your courses.
Dean of Ed, I think I'm going to ask you this question and your guest panelists. So can you talk about transportation in general for students? Are there buses, shuttles, Ubers? How do kids get around for errands and stuff?
Sure, yeah, sorry about the cat bomb. So there's 6 people on camp, or 6 live on staff, all have dogs except for the one cat. So he wanted to make himself seen. Yes, we do have quite a bit of options for transportation. So first years are not allowed to have cars on campus just due to capacity, unless there is an extenuating circumstance, which you can reach out to us about. We do have quite a few options. So we do have a bus system in the region of Southern California that we're in called Foothill Transit that goes to a ton of different places, as well as we are walking distance from one of the major metro stops that connects to all of Los Angeles. So that is a great option as well. And then of course we do have Uber and Lyft and all of those things available. And Claremont is pretty walkable. We have a Trader Joe's within walking distance. Across the street, we have a few coffee shops, restaurants, things like that. And then the Claremont Village is, I think, like a mile away and has a ton of options, banks, things as well. And that's also where the metro stop is. And so quite a few ways to get around.
Great. We got a question again about the parent orientation schedule, so I want to jump in. Are parents part of the lunch with students on 8/27 after move-in, or just the family farewell? So you're not part of your student lunch. We will have separate lunches for families. The students have their own lunch. And the family farewell will be happening on campus. It's an outdoor location in front of our largest building called Sprague. It's called Strauss Plaza. So we'll give you campus maps when you arrive so you know where everything is. It is kind of at that lunch hour when we separate you from your student programming until your student has time in their schedule to just be back at their room. So hopefully that clarifies it a little bit. There's more vaccination questions, but I don't want to spend too much time on them. So Marco, can students not elect to rely on a 2 times per testing if they don't have an exception or like a medical exception standard?
So no, the only folks who will get the 2 tests a week are folks who are exempt from the vaccine. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to move in and you will not be allowed to be enrolled as a student if you do not have an exemption, if you do not provide that documentation.
Great. We have another question about packages. How are students notified that their packages have arrived? This family has medication that needs to be refrigerated. So how are those notifications sent out?
They receive an email that their package has arrived.
And it's day of, it's when the mail gets sorted, right? It's pretty quick. Here's a big question about bicycles. Where are they stored? In room, lockers? That's a question.
I can answer that. So we have bike racks all around campus. We are a very wheel-driven campus. And so just about everyone has some type of wheel. If you've been to our campus, you probably have seen it's not very big at all comparatively to other schools, but folks really don't like walking for some reason. So we have skateboards, bikes, scooters, all the things. So students are encouraged to get themselves a bike lock. We no longer sell them on campus. And so please provide a bike lock for your bike to use around campus. The safest place to keep your bike, honestly, is in your room if possible, but you'll see throughout the school year that the whole campus really has bikes all around on bike locks. So right now we're storing all the bikes that were left since quarantine time. And so students will be able to pick up their bike if they're returning, but we anticipate a lot more joining the campus as well. Karen, did you want to add something?
I think just encouraging your students who lock their bikes. They can sometimes go missing. But yeah, as long as they get a good lock, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, that kind of plays off a question about how the crime rate is around campus. Claremont is not a super crime-ridden city. However, bikes are the thing that go missing quite often. So locking your bike is very important. Keeping your door closed if you have valuables inside. Like people can come off campus. It is not super common, but it does happen. There's some parents asking about the 2-person limit for move-in and whether they need to show proof of vaccination or are they exempt and that kind of thing. Marco, you can chime in here. As far as I know right now, we are not allowed to require proof of vaccination when you come to visit by any means. We are limiting you to 2. That includes 12-year-old younger brothers as well. So if it's mom, dad, and brother, that is 3. That is not 2. So keep it to 2 people. We will be asking you to follow all California, LA County, Harvey-Mudd College guidelines while you're on campus, but we cannot technically, I think, request proof of vaccination from all of the guests visiting campus.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. And then if there are any other protocols that we do mandate, we will make sure to let you all know beforehand.
So this is a question about escort arrangements for people walking at night. So maybe one of you could talk a little bit about campus safety and their role and what they do on our campus.
Sure. So we do have campus safety available 24 hours a day. All students will get that phone number the minute they get to campus. We talk about that a few different points throughout orientation. So there's always a way to contact help, either through mentors, proctors, or campus safety. And then those folks can get in contact with those live-on deans that Dean Karen mentioned as well if we are needed. So campus safety does provide escorts at night if a student requests it. So if a student is walking, for example, from Pomona College to Harvey-Mudd, which is the first one, and still not far, but would like a escort back to campus, that's totally fine. No questions asked. Campus safety will provide that. We also have the Live Safe app, which students will also learn about when they arrive, which is a safety app that allows students to share their location with whoever they like. So friends, family, it's kind of like the way we do on iPhone. So it can be just for that trek, like, hey, I want you to see where I am right now, where I'm going, or it can be ongoing. Also in that app are links to emergency services, student health, the campus safety phone number, things like that. And so they'll all be receiving that as well.
Great. Our questions are dying down now. Again, Karen, do you want to reiterate what you said about the room assignments that you guys are going to check stuff and upload?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did send them out yesterday, but unfortunately, I think only a couple received them. So we'll make sure to send out that email again. And we'll upload that information onto Simplicity, so you'll be able to log in and view it. If you don't see it by tomorrow, end of day, send us an email. Yeah, but you have been assigned a room number and a roommate if you have one. So all 234 students have been assigned someone. Unfortunately, you just haven't received that information. If you haven't received any emails from orientation adventures at g.hmc.edu or Rest Life, please let us know via restlife@hmc.edu so that we can also look into it and maybe a bigger issue. But yes, the offices of Campus Life and Rest Life have been communicating with students to their HMC emails directly.
I mean, that's a good kickoff. Dean Marco, did you have any final words you wanted to say to the group?
Just that we're super excited to have you all join us in person. We've been waiting for about 1.5 years to see students, so we're super excited to interact with them, to welcome them back, especially welcome you all to the MUD family. We're very excited to kind of meet you all and get to know you all, and so we can't wait. We're working hard to make sure that we welcome them back safely as possible, and that we do our best to really provide a great experience for your students.
And Dina Vet.
Same, yeah, we've been working on this. We've been working on a return to campus for a long time. And so now seeing that happening is really exciting. And this is our first ever double orientation. So it'll be double exciting, hoping for a lot of energy and excitement meeting your students. We are, like we said, available through email. There's quite a few folks checking that around the clock. So please do reach out with any questions.
Yes. And please watch your email for the next month as we go forward, because there will be updates, or if anything changes, we will be in contact with you and your students specifically. So ask them if they're receiving stuff, because sometimes they're not as diligent about checking their emails. So I do want to thank our panelists a lot, Marco, Karen, Yvette. Thank you to our audience for your questions. I do have more questions that I will pass along to future events. So don't worry about those getting answered. And DSA has so many other offices that we hope you're able to meet them and learn more as you visit campus and drop your students off at the end of August. We don't want you to go too far. We do have our second event today in just a little while, starting at 11:30 Pacific time, so about 30 minutes. We'll have our parent panel filled with members of our Parent Leadership Council ready to answer your parent-specific questions. They can help you with what you actually brought to campus and what was helpful and what was useful. So use the same webinar link you did for this one, but for technical reasons, I have to shut this webinar down and restart it. So take a break, stand up, stretch, get some water, do what you need. And if you have any additional questions or don't think you're receiving HMC emails, you can always send us a note at parents@hmc.edu. You can find additional information and helpful links at hmc.edu/parents. There's a Family Orientation 2021 on the left-hand sidebar. And I thank you guys for joining us this morning, and we will see you shortly. So thanks, panelists.